Alright guys, welcome back to VALORANT News. The VCT is ready to get underway for the regular season in the very near future indeed, but Loud seem to find themselves in a rather tricky situation. Saadhak confirms that many of his teammates, because of their Brazilian visas, are struggling to get to the US in time before their matches begin right at the start of April. This means they cannot practice as they would like to, and may fall even further behind where they need to be if they want to challenge this team on screen. Very much enjoy your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always, I'd greatly appreciate it. First of all, Clove in the game now. Lots of discussion whether Clove will be viable in the game, whether this is going to work out, all of the abilities that they have to offer, of course. I think a rather powerful agent from what we've seen so far. Still debates, as Chet has had as well, on whether Clove is viable in comparison to some of the other smoke agents, controller agents, of course, you know, would Omen or Viper be replaced in this circumstance? Quite possibly not. But as we can see here, the Clove smoke ability after death doesn't give you like anywhere on the map abilities, but it's good enough, to be honest. Like, this is where you can use the smoke kit after you die. It's only in the vicinity of where you died, so if your team goes to the other site, you can't help them, but still, it's pretty good, right? You die, your team is attacking the site, you go down, you can still smoke after death. That's a pretty valuable thing to be able to do, and this is kind of the area of effect here that we have on Bind. However, we also have some roster drama to discuss, because DRX have actually officially confirmed a new player onto their roster. 3 seasons in the making, they say. They're running it back again to another 6-man situation here on this team. They've brought Bayon into their roster, formerly of All Gamers, and he's going to join as the 6th man for this team. Now, it's not clear what is the plan. This time it's my turn and all this. Who he's going to replace. So theoretically, he's coming into the starting roster, but actually, VALORANT says that, you know, they've called up Bay into their starting roster. We reached out to DRX to comment who he would replace. No comment on this at the moment. Please wait for our opening Pacific game. He might not even start. He probably will. So this is how it's going for them. They play in a week and 2 days against Team Secret, their opening game, of course, of the Pacific regular season in the first week. This is now their team. So, you know, theoretically, you'd expect Foxy9 possibly to step away. There were rumours that Foxy9 was already planning, you know, they were planning him to be their bench player anyway. Flashback, I think, has been very good. Definitely don't expect him to go anywhere, but possibly this could be a 6-man situation, right? Are they going to make some, you know, rotations within the team? Because DRX are not bad at all. They lost to Gen.G, of course, in the kickoff in the Pacific side, therefore didn't make it to Masters Madrid, and Gen.G were the best team from the Pacific. They made the finals, they came very close, and so maybe DRX aren't too far down the list, but still, when you got Gen.G, you got Paybrex playing very well, I think DRX realised, okay, if we want to become the best team in the region again, we've got to take some steps forward, and that seemingly involves a change. Now, Furia, they've also involved a change, and that's Nosworth joining their team. Now, this is very spicy indeed. If you guys remember the drama back, I think it was in December, when Leviathan effectively dropped Nosworth from the roster, which was a surprising decision, certainly at the time. They've brought Com in, and they've looked pretty good, Leviathan, although there are some scrim bucks that might not necessarily indicate that. We'll see here in a second, because it seems like their recent games haven't necessarily gone to plan of their practice, but I don't know, we'll see how it translates when they actually get to proper tournament play. But Nosworth is officially back. He's with Furia as their new player to round out the team, and this is very exciting because of the Leviathan drama. He was dropped by Lev in controversial fashion. It was unclear whether the players wanted him gone, whether it was the coaching staff that wanted him gone, or exactly what the story was there behind the scenes. But the truth of the matter is that he was gone, and now he's on Furia, and as he says, I'm back and ready to make history. Very happy to be here at Furia again. New challenge in my career. Gonna do my best to represent this shirt once again. And Furia Lev is gonna be a banger, especially if this is anything to go by. Of course, Crew also. Arguably, Crew could have actually got Nosworth themselves, right? They didn't in the end. Maybe Nosworth just preferred the Furia offer, team with a higher potential. That's possible as well. But Crew have been kind of getting slammed here in some scrimbucks yesterday against NRG. So NRG up 13-1 here against Crew. This, though, was the really interesting one. So this is Pancakes and Will and that Challengers team. We're up 15-1 on Lev with Com, King, Tex, etc. So, yeah, look, it's only scrims, but, and if this was like 13-7 or something, I'd be like, okay, whatever, who cares? But when it's 15-1, it's like, damn, that's a pretty big deal, though, in terms of Lev getting kind of slammed. And there were rumours that maybe they should consider a move. And I don't know, if this is anything to go by, Nosworth might have a good time when he plays Lev, but also Pancada might be thinking, all right, you know what, Lev might be a good place to go, of course, with Aspas, if that was to occur. But speaking of that region, generally speaking, we have to mention the Loud situation that Saadhak alluded to on stream yesterday. So Saadhak effectively says here in this clip that Loud are not best positions to approach the upcoming start of the season. As I said, I think their first game maybe is on the 5th of April, something like that, right at the start of the regular season in the Americas. Now, what this translates to is effectively, why am I here? I'm here because I'm Argentine and I don't have to renew my visa every 3 months. Basically, that's it. The Brazilians, apparently Brazilian players, if they try and get to the US, they have to renew their visa very frequently, and that causes problems. So, because he's Argentinian, he's okay to stay out there in LA, whereas his teammates are actually stuck in Brazil right now. So effectively the implication is that the Brazilians, obviously the rest allowed, are going to arrive quite late. And this was, okay, so their first game is on the 6th of the split. I think they'll arrive here between the 1st and the 4th. So that's pretty tight, you know. I'm sure they'll get it renewed and it'll be fine. But if there's one thing that goes wrong, all of a sudden, their arrival on the 1st or the 4th for their play on the 6th is all of a sudden delayed, you need a substitute, so many issues. But as he says, because they're back in Brazil, they can't really practice properly. And this is a talking point last year when Aspas decided to stay in LA, I think, during the off-season, or like before Champions, rather than going back to Brazil, or something like that happened anyway. Maybe he was back in Brazil, it was the other way around. Whatever the case was, Aspas apparently wasn't with the team in person, and therefore they were, well, at least given that ping difference, struggling to practice properly. Even I think the same thing for Sentinels a while ago, and Sassy, who I think is all okay now, but I think Sassy was stuck out in Brazil as well, and therefore the practice quality of Sentinels was suffering. So apparently Loud are going to say, you know what, we're not even going to bother practicing, it's not worth our time to practice remotely like this, we will just wait until they get back. So I think that's, well, I mean, it can't be a positive thing, get it right, for Loud. And yeah, Saadhak is the only member of the team who has arrived in LA. The rest, on account of being Brazilian, are having visa issues. They will likely not arrive in time to properly practice going into the first split. They won't be good enough anyway to get the job done, but... And like, Pancada is also from Brazil. But these are two situations today, the Loud occurrence and also what's going on with Liv potentially, that, you know, might make Pancada think, you know what, there might be a chance in the reasonably near future of me getting back somewhere or other into that system. Now, I also wanted to mention what, well, Boaster had to say on the teams in the Americas, but also just Sentinels in general, of course. Fnatic fell short in their playoffs during the kickoff to Carmine Corp. KC went in, solid result, top 6 in the end for KC, but when push came to shove on the stage, didn't quite have enough in the end. Of course, they went down to Sentinels to drop to the losers brackets. So Zelsis, as he does, says the following: we need 3 things right now: VCT Masters Madrid title, Purple Gun Buddy, Sentinels bundle in the shop. But as Boaster says, we need NA scrims again. Now, I imagine while Sentinels and the other teams were over there, of course, Sen and Loud, the two the two Americas representatives from the region, they were probably scrimming Fnatic and other teams in EMEA. And Boaster clearly feels, potentially after Champions last year in LA, when Fnatic went out there and scrimmed the North American teams, that they're just very strong competition. That is the feeling. If you look at the numbers over the last few years now, the Americas is the strongest region. It is the most successful region in VALORANT history, and that looks set to continue. As Boaster says, yeah, NA scrims are nice. We don't get this quality of practice in the European side. Giving credit to Sentinel, of course, being the best in the region, but this is what I think it was it Boostio said as well, now 100 tier, maybe it was somebody else, but still relevant to Boostio. The point was that if you're the best team in the Americas, you are also the best team in the world, and that may not have always been true, but at the moment it seems to be true. Over the last, 6, 7, 8 months or whatever, Evil Geniuses became the best team in the Americas. They won the World Championship. Sentinels have become the best team in the Americas. They won Masters Madrid. So we'll see if, Fnatic can do anything about that, right? Because certainly that is going to be right at the top of the agenda. So very much intrigued to your thoughts and all this stuff in the comments below. Just a few interesting stats to dive through here. Highest ACS at the tournament, minimum 100 rounds played. So quite a few maps you got to play to get to 100 rounds. But reasons, of course, of Heretics, Mini Boo as well. Then Narrate. then Kang, and then Zekken. So this is very, I mean, Zekken had a monster tournament, certainly in the finals. He actually tied Demon One's record. I don't think I mentioned this the other day. So 101 kills in a grand finals, or just in a series in general, in a best of 5. That is the record set by Demon One last year at the World Championship. Zekken tied that with 101 in the series they played against Paper Rex, or Gen.G, of course, in the grand finals. And yeah, so he was only 1 kill away from breaking that record. But well, that record is shared between the both of them now for quite some time. So this is the history of Valorant, and it seems like over the last 3 years we have in some ways come full circle to see, yeah, Sentinels get back on top yet again. So yeah, they become the first 2-time Masters champions, at least as an organization. So very much intrigued to your thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, take care, and I'll see you next time.
Por que que eu estou aqui? Estou aqui porque sou argentino e meu visto não tenho que renovar meu visto cada 3 meses. Basicamente é isso. O brasileiro sofre mais uma vez, né, mano? O que isso quer dizer? Quer dizer que eles vão chegar para aqui muito tarde. Ou seja, para vocês terem uma ideia, a gente não vai nem treinar para o próximo split. Tá ligado? A gente não vai treinar para o próximo split porque não temos tempo. Porque o split, nosso jogo é dia 6 e acho que eles chegam aqui entre o dia 1 e o dia 4.